I know the DJ.
Do you?
You gotta
90s baby, stand up.
You're coming back cause I'm blowing in it. Pause. I take my craft serious.
Get the hell out of here. I don't owe you shit.
Peekaboo. Live from Suffolk County Jail, we have DJ FINGAZ in the building.
You know what's actually funny? I have jury duty tomorrow in Suffolk County.
Is that what they're calling it now?
And I'm not gonna go.
Of course you're not. All right, let's not waste anybody's time. Yes, just big quarantine energy right now. FINGAZ is incredibly mobile right now.
Yes,
so
I'm actually on my way to the studio. I'm sorry, guys.
if you see anyone crashing their car down 95, it's probably FINGAZ. So let's just dive right in. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to discuss and break down Super Bowl 59 halftime show. And the way we're going to start that is really just starting with the facts. I'm going to lay down just some of the facts of the show itself and then facts that have come out after the show over the course of the last few days. And then we're going to have designated slots for the different hosts to be able to give their opinions and 2 cents on the show. As that's all happening, please, comments are going to be live. Dylan's going to be, and myself are going to be checking into the comments and writing down, any questions or comments that are worth bringing up later. Once each host has had 3 to 5 minutes to kind of put their opinions in, it's going to be open season, rebuttals, banter, anything like that. And then we'll end with any last questions from, y'all commenting below. Does that sound good? Awesome. Let's dive right in. Super Bowl 59. Halftime show breakdown by I Know the DJ podcast, performed by Kendrick Lamar, with guest feature by SZA, who looked incredible. And Kendrick made history as the first solo rapper to headline the Super Bowl halftime show in its 58 history. The performance was 13 minutes and 25 seconds long, featuring 11 songs, including a snippet of an unreleased track that many are calling Bodies to open the performance, and 2 songs that he did with SZA. Kendrick did not do a single song from his legendary album, Good Kid, Mad City, which many fans were excited for, including myself. The performance featured appearances by Samuel L. Jackson, Serena Williams, DJ Mustard, and SZA, who looked incredible. I don't know if I mentioned that already. A lot of the show was commentary on the U.S. system, and Black lives in the U.S. system. That I know the Super Bowl audience, a lot of the Super Bowl audience was, not everybody was able to read and understand, but was powerful and impactful nonetheless. The theme of the performance was definitely political and revolutionary, with it centered around the American game, with imagery of Uncle Sam, a PlayStation controller, and the words "Game Over" to seal the show, as well as changed lyrics and commentary from Lamar. So those are some facts. Lastly, the newest addition is this is the most watched Super Bowl halftime performance with 113.5 million views. So that is a stat that was released earlier today. Again, making this the most viewed halftime show in its history. So that's enough speaking for me. We're going to start with just some of the opinions from the host, starting with resident white boy CAMMY V. So please, sir, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, brother. Great analysis. I think overall with the show, I'll say this. I think Kendrick, how do I want to word this? I think Kendrick did a good performance. I don't think it was a great performance. FINGAZ with the cop lights on him over here, probably getting pulled over. I didn't really enjoy. I didn't feel like it lived up to a Super Bowl halftime performance, and I think when I look at what makes a great halftime performance, I always turn and look at the greatest to do it. You know what I mean? So you look at the MJs, Prince, Beyonce, even the J-Lo and Shakira, and what do those have in common? And to me, the Super Bowl halftime performance it's ultimately a legacy show. It's a culmination of your body of work, and it's probably one of the biggest platforms you could possibly have as an artist. And it showcases highlights of your career. And I think what's also something that the greats have done in the past, their performances transcend age, gender, and race. And I think that's what makes the greats the great. So that being said, I know SNAX, you kind of dove into the track list and everything. I think Kendrick made a deliberate decision not to play his classic hits. And I guess before I kind of critique him or give my opinion, or I guess critique, before I critique as to why he did that, I kind of want to give like some potential reasons as to why he chose not to go the hits route. I think ultimately he used the platform as like the ultimate checkmate to Drake. I mean, dude, the Easter eggs were fantastic. The Not Like Us moment was fantastic. I think he used a platform to speak about racial inequalities, which is obviously big. There was a lot of subliminal messaging, which was fantastic. He used the platform as like a big FU almost to like the Gen Pop and the institution and the American people that wanted the hits. And I think also something that I read earlier today, potential motives between the set list that he chose could also be related to his splits. And what I mean by that is his older records, obviously, which was on TDE, he has a 50-50 split, as opposed to now with PG Lang, he has like an 80% split. And so usually, and historically, what we've seen after the Super Bowl, the records that the artist plays during the Super Bowl sees a dramatic spike in streaming and everything. So it makes sense for him, I guess, so to speak, to choose the newer records off GNX because he's going to be seeing more income off that. So some of these things can be true. All of them can be true. None of them can be true. But I would have been remiss not to mention it. But so again, so looking at all that, did I think this was a great performance? By my standards and what I illustrated earlier, no. I think there were some records that, just lacked energy. I think there were some, for the most part, there were a lot of points in the show that lacked audience and viewer interaction. And obviously that was intentional because I think one of the biggest things was some of the records, lower energy records that he chose, helped to build the suspense of the crescendo of the show, which was obviously Not Like Us. And, if you look at the great Michael Jackson, how he started his show, he stood on stage for 2 minutes and just waited and really owned the moment. And I think he kind of channeled his inner MJ on that to make the Not Like Us the biggest part of the show. So I think some of the performance of the records weren't that great, but needless to say, what I think would have made it great, I think the biggest issue I had with it was definitely the set list. I really don't give a fuck about the fireworks. I don't give a fuck about the dancing. Without the music, we wouldn't be here, period. The Super Bowl halftime show wouldn't exist, period, without the music. So I always go back to the music. There's some people online saying Kendrick doesn't have the catalog to do that, and I disagree with them. I think there was an ultimate set list he could have chosen that checked the boxes of everything I mentioned before, created like the energy, and then at the end, just like the ultimate, like, oh yeah, by the way, Drake, I got a message for you too. So I think the last point I want to make too, obviously this was a very dense performance, and in the most Kendrick way possible. It was very dense, packed with a lot of messages, Easter eggs, and all that. And so with the decision to do that, this is the part that I'm going back and forth in my mind about. All those things are great, but does it ultimately make it a great performance for the Super Bowl? And I don't think so. I think it was a good Kendrick performance. I don't think it was a great Super Bowl halftime performance.
Thank you, Cammie. Appreciate your 2 cents and always coming in hot with the facts. I do want to make sure that we keep these opinions concise just for the viewers and keeping things moving quick. Next, we're going to have FINGAZ kind of put in his 2 cents. It's going to be my biggest concern is not being able to control him over this live. But let's just try and keep things nice and concise for the experience for the viewers. FINGAZ, please, we would love to know you had a lot to say on social media. We're very opinionated as always, and but seem very passionate in terms of the reactions that were for this halftime show. So please, I would love to know your thoughts.
Well, what's up, guys? First and foremost, all my FINGAZ gang in the chat. Throw up hands. Throw your hands up in the chat. Throw up a hand. Hand emoji here for the FINGAZ. Throw it up in the chat. All my FINGAZ is in the building. I said my FINGAZ gang. I see you in here. All right, let me just rebut some of the things he was saying because this is what we're here to do, right? I love the performance. I think it was one of my favorite Super Bowl performances. One, because it was unorthodox. It was not like your regular performance. And as Kendrick Lamar, when have we ever seen this artist conform to the norm, right? It's always something that's going to stand out and with the message. So yeah, a lot of people are like, oh, I want my entertainment served without political stuff, but that's just not who Kendrick is, and that's why I give him kudos for being himself unapologetically. That's the one for one. I want to kill this notion about the crowd. You look at any Super Bowl performance, no one's jumping up and down in the crowd, and that there's not a consensus of everyone jumping up and down in the crowd. It's a different story when you're inside of the building and you can and the sound is not as great. It's not as in your face. You're not getting a 3D of view of things. You're seeing people. You're seeing stages being switched up. You see, there's a lot of things going on. So it captures. You get captivated about everything else going on in the stadium. Michael Jackson's performance, it was in the daylight. You see a bunch of white people just fucking standing there. What are we talking about? No one's jumping up and down screaming he. And that's Michael Jackson. So let's cut that shit out. When we say things, we gotta think here. That's a notion that I've seen online, and a lot of people making videos of look, everyone's standing still, everyone's doing this, but yeah, but you pan to no one's showing the video of them in the cruise. Y'all saw that one, everyone jumping up and down, a cruise with several floors, or all the bars and places that were jumping up and down, screaming like it's a fucking concert. That's one thing. So let's cut that whole thing as the stadium being dead. Every performance, if you go back and you look at cell phone footage of the real time, there's people that are dancing, there's some that are not. Most of them are not because a lot of them is middle-aged white America that wants to go there and watch football. All right, it's different. That's not a point. That's just a fact that it happens with every fucking performance. That's number one. Number two, this whole thing of it not being energy. Every performance has their downtime where they drop a slower song, this and that. Yeah, could he have done more of his slaps? Yeah, he could have. He could have did, there's swimming pools, there's the, bitch don't kill my vibe, all that shit. That he could have done all that stuff, but you know what? Dude just dropped an album, and those songs are not bad songs. So for people to say it was trash because they didn't hear the slaps that he has already that are solidified slaps, those songs are still not bad songs. Those songs are good songs on that album. They're not bad songs. They might end up being some of his slaps down the line, and he took that risk. And I think he did that because if we don't remember, he did his medley during the Pop Out concert. If y'all don't remember that, his pop-out concert was all those songs that we did. A lot of people are saying he should have did that set list for the pop-out for the show exactly instead of doing the pop-out. But my thing is like if you're gonna do that, then he's like, you know what? Let me just stick to the most of the songs in the album. I throw in a few hits in there. I wasn't mad about that. That didn't make me not like the performance at all. My only thing about the performance that I didn't like was in the beginning was the mic was a little low. I know this usually happens as well, and then later on in when they repost it, they'll turn it up and stuff like that. But that was my only gripe with that. As far as that, and I love the messaging. I love it's Black History Month. I love what he was saying throughout the whole thing. I'm not gonna sit here and break down the whole fucking. It's too much. You guys go online. There's a bunch of breakdowns on there. It ends up being the most viewed ever. Can we say that maybe because of the Drake thing? We could say that. Maybe. Is this it? Were people waiting for that Drake moment? Of course. But I think, and a lot of people are saying that Kendrick, the only reason why he got this year was because of the Drake moment. And I would say yes. That song put him over the top. But Kendrick Lamar is an A-star performer. He's an A-star rapper. He would have had that chance anyways. It was coming anyways. So we can't say that he would have never been on that stage and doing what he did there. So I think people are just more so upset because of their expectations and not the fact that it was actually a bad show. Because when I look at it, I've watched it 4 times, and for me, it gets better and better each time because I don't know. I appreciate people who stick to who they are. I love the whole kind of artsy, kind of like play, kind of mode about it. You know, because no one has ever done that. There was no light up stage. There was no fireworks, except for inside of it every now and then. You know, he stripped it down and he was in there rapping, voice control on a thousand. All my Lil Wayne fans that thought that Lil Wayne can never go do that. That's never gonna happen. Lil Wayne would never be able to do what he did on that stage. He did choreography, all right. So I think
Fingers, final thoughts, Fingers. Final
I'm
thoughts.
done. Yeah, I'm done. I'm wrapping it up. Trust me, I'm wrapping it up. So to me, I think it was one of his better performances just because of what it was, the fact that he, you know, didn't conform, and the point of the performance was not to give in to Uncle Sam, and he did that. He did him. He did him. So that's my shit.
Thank you, Fingers. And so your ultimate opinion is that it was a great show. Where does it rank for you as far as all shows? Do you have like a top 3, top 5, top 1?
I can't. I would just say just because of the moment culturally, I'll put it top 5.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I want to put my 2 cents in here, and then we'll kind of just open up to just general discussion. I know there's some comments here that I want to go back to. My ultimate opinion is that it was a great rap performance, culturally revolutionary, great commentary, pushed the envelope, all the above. I do want to give a shout out to Kendrick's voice control as well. And then I also don't know if I mentioned that SZA looked incredible. I just wanted to make sure I said that.
She's not watching this, SNAX. She's not watching it.
She's not?
No.
Okay. So ultimately, this was a rap show. It was an incredible rap show, but as we have all mentioned, not all the full Super Bowl viewing audience doesn't like rap or rap shows. And so that becomes very, very evident, you know, when you see the online comments like Facebook. I saw this one post where Facebook was just full of like boomer and like Gen Z, no, not Gen Z, Gen X white people that were like, I couldn't understand a word he said, like, but they just don't like rap. So that's going to be very, very difficult. But ultimately, he is the person for this show. He is the biggest and hottest artist, you know, around right now. So it was his time for his show. But at the end of the day, it doesn't rank that high for me in terms of Super Bowl halftime performances. Just because of one, the set list was very disappointing. You know, talking about music, the set list was extremely disappointing, and I think if you separate the rap beef, again, him having that many viewers, I think a lot of it is because of the rap beef. This is probably the most controversial. The hype and controversy going into this halftime show, I think, is unprecedented. Like, I don't think any other halftime show ever had this much, you know, controversy or hype at all. So I think that has a lot to do with the viewership. I think just because it has the most views doesn't mean it is the best by any means. A lot of people are saying that no one has ever done this type of storytelling at a halftime show, but my argument would be because the past performers didn't have to. I think the past performers were mostly triple threat superstars or like lifetime bands. And so I think of someone like Beyonce's show where she's dancing at 110%, singing Single Ladies and doing and reuniting with Destiny's Child. I'm thinking of Bruno Mars, who's doing splits and playing 2 different instruments and singing his ass off. I'm thinking about Usher on roller skates. I'm thinking about Prince playing the electric guitar, singing Purple Rain while it's raining. Like, these are just iconic moments that, you know, these amazing artists, iconic artists, are celebrating their catalog, celebrating their careers, and are playing all the biggest hits for their performance. And that's why people love them. I think this being different, kudos to that. But if you separate this performance, if you have someone in 20 years from now watching this performance and not understanding the beef, they weren't around for the beef and weren't around for the cultural landscape that the United States is in right now, would they look at that performance and be like, yeah, this was the best performance that the Super Bowl has ever had? I don't think so. Better than Michael Jackson? No. Better than Michael Jackson? Better than U2? Like, I don't think so. You know what I'm saying? And so that's my biggest point. Back to the set list, I think there are some really bad creative decisions made. I think the first half of the show is extremely slow. The pacing is really, really bad. When you have 113 million people watching a show like that, it needs to be high energy from top to bottom. And that's what a lot of the past performers did. They come out with one of their biggest songs, and then from there, it's just kind of like peaks and valleys of their catalog. I think it was extremely slow for a crescendo and climax at the end of the set, which obviously the end of the set was incredible, but I think the pacing and creative decisions from the beginning were super underwhelming and slow. And an example is like wasting 30 seconds to do the intro instrumental of All the Stars and then doing Kendrick's verse and then SZA's chorus. When you do All the Stars, we only want to hear SZA singing the chorus. I'm sorry, but you do that, you could have played a whole other song in that wasted 30 seconds. Like things like that, like I was watching it and I'm like, this is pissing me off. This is not a good use of the time, not a good use of the songs that he has. So ultimately, those are my gripes with it. An amazing rap show. An incredible rap show. What it's done culturally and the conversations it has built up on social media since is amazing. But we are inevitably going to compare it to other halftime shows because it's a halftime show. There's 58 halftime shows. It is not better than Beyonce, Bruno, Usher, Michael Jackson, Prince. It is not. It's just not, because they had performances and they were show-stopping performances and iconic performances. I think this is an awesome rap show. But again, I was disappointed given the reasons I had just mentioned. So I appreciate y'all for I appreciate y'all listening to our structured opinions and taking the time to do that. There were a bunch of comments that I just wanted to bring up that I think I wanted to open up to any of those the hosts that are speaking here right now. One of the comments I saw, I think, was the GTA code buttons. I saw this online as well. I think it's a little bit of a stretch. I think we give some of these artists and their creative teams a lot to work with.
That's a point I want to get to, SNAX. Go for it.
Like, so there was the PlayStation buttons, and they lit up and made sounds in a pattern, in an order. And a lot of people are saying that it is like the GTA code for like life and death or some shit. I don't play GTA, I don't play video games, but something. And I was just like, that's just so specific. It's not to say that it's not possible or plausible. Like, I just think that that's a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah.
Cammie, you had comments on that?
Yeah, a couple other things too, SNAX, that I noticed. I think, obviously as Kendrick obviously packs a lot of shit into his shows, and I think the part that I'm starting to get annoyed with a little bit is people hyper analyze it too much. Like, I think that's a little over hyper analyzed. I think that people are like, oh, it's the A minor chain. No, that's the A from the PG Lang logo. That people are like, oh, the Samuel L. Jackson is Uncle Sam, talking about referencing him with Django, or even talking about Drake mentioning his uncle. It's like, no. Like,
well, I think
there was different.
That one was actually true. I thought because he's got like an uncle. Sorry, Nick.
Dylan, shut up!
Shit!
Shut up!
Shut up!
Hold on, what the fuck is going on here? I don't have enough time to talk. Who gave him a version to talk?
I think Samuel L. Jackson was picked specifically for this thing, obviously with his name and he is an iconic Hollywood figure. He's also an iconic Black Hollywood figure, and who has also played roles where he plays an Uncle Tom. Django Unchained is the best example. So I think his specific casting was very much intentional.
Yeah, the casting
and I
was
think
intentional.
Awesome.
The casting was intentional, but like for the people who are like, oh yeah, this is a rebuttal to Drake telling Kendrick like, oh yeah, like where's your uncle at? I want to speak to the man of the house. I'm like, dude, things can be true, but like I don't think that was the intention behind it. But I think there's things that are hyper analyzed. I think that was hyper analyzed, and I think the chain was hyper analyzed, and I think the controller was hyper analyzed.
I don't think the intention with everything that Kendrick does is to spark a conversation. When you go to an art gallery, there's not you go and you look at it, you interpret it what you want. The whole point is to spark a conversation. He sparked a conversation on America's biggest fucking stage.
That's a good point. So
I think people, like I said, people like to go into things, and I know it's Super Bowl expectations, but what I did this show, what made me like this show even more, appreciate what was going on, and actually like what was going on was I went in this with no expectations. I went in this with not thinking about any other Super Bowl performance. I went in this not thinking about a set list. I went in this not thinking about nothing of that. I just went in here like knowing who Kendrick Lamar is, knowing what I expect from Kendrick Lamar, and knowing that I'm going to get a piece that is more of an art piece that's going to make people talk for weeks. People are going to be breaking down this performance for a month. People are
Yeah,
going to be
no, for
breaking this
sure, for
thing down
sure.
for a month. You've never had a performance like that on a Super Bowl stage ever like that. And you've never had a performance where, yeah, people go there and do their hits, their slaps, they play it safe.
Yeah, no,
That's cool. That's fine. I get it. People want that. I understand. Everyone has their own opinion. But I could, yes, was it not the hypest performance ever? No. Was it the most pop American icon? No, it wasn't. But for what it was, and for what we came for who he is, and for it being, like I said, going into this and knowing, not expecting a Beyonce or Michael Jackson or this or that. It's Kendrick Lamar. His fans understood. His fans. He performed for his fans.
for,
He performed for the
there you
people
go.
that understood it. And if you didn't understand it, even if he did the slaps, there were still going to be people that are going to say he should have did this, he should have did that. So why am I going to go into a situation knowing that I'm going to get criticized anyways by doing something that I don't want, rather me doing something that I can stand on, that years from now it's going to stand on its own?
Yeah,
That's where my respect for this comes from. So people calling it trash, saying this is that. He rapped his ass off. Those songs were fire. So yes, maybe it's not what you wanted, but it's not trash.
yeah,
And I think, and I don't want to rank something like that because, like, for me, it was an important moment for the culture for me. And like I said, everything I said before that, same thing. Kudos to that. So I respect your opinion, but that's just where I'm at
yeah.
with
No,
that.
100% Fingas. I get it. I think here 2 points. One, I think when you have a live performance that's dense, good chess move on his part, because guess what people are going to do? People like you are going to go back and watch it 4 or 5 times. Views are going to go up. Great chess move on his part. But again, like, I just didn't think as a live performance for the Super Bowl, like, I didn't think it bode well for him to do that for the actual Super Bowl performance. The second point I did want to touch on is back to like the song selection and the record selection. Like, I don't think there was a lot of Kendrick, even Kendrick fans, like, but I think there was a lot of people, period, that did, like, raise your hand if you wanted to see him perform Whacked Out Murals or Man at the Garden or the unreleased record. Like, if Beyonce took the stage and just performed Cowboy Carter, what would you guys say? You know what I mean? So
Yeah, but does that
think,
make it a bad performance, or does that just make it I didn't get to hear what I want?
well, that's what
Words
I'm trying to.
words mean things.
No,
So if
for
I
sure.
didn't get to, if I didn't get the slice of pizza that I wanted, if I didn't get the cheese pizza that I wanted, but I had pepperoni, I still like pepperoni. It still was a good pizza. I still had a great time. I tasted great, but I didn't like it because I didn't get the cheese pizza. I'm not gonna say that the pepperoni pizza was whack. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Fingers,
that's where
That's
we
a good,
are.
fingers,
good
you are
analogy.
fingers. You are speaking my language. I completely understand what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? I had to
Yeah.
put it in pizza terms. You know what I'm talking about?
I understand what you're saying. We did have a question in the comments. Who wins in a versus, Kendrick or Drake?
I mean, come on.
Drake.
Yeah. Yeah. So another point, Snacks, that I did want to make too, I wanted to touch on. Is there a possibility that in the future Drake does a halftime show? Is that a possibility that's ever open? Do you think that's open?
I think it's going to take a while.
Sure.
I think he's just very down bad, and I think he needs to be a little bit in the
Yo,
shadows for a
Drake,
little
there's
bit.
no way
But
in
in the
America that
future,
Drake's
I
gonna
think
walk.
Like,
that door is, as
and
of right now, it's not wide open, but that door is open ajar, right?
we have to
Kendrick,
not think about Kendrick's like that's the thing. Like, it's one of those things where you know, how do you make your best point when the person already made it before you? You know what I mean? Like, it's just
it's like the Eminem freestyle at the end of 8 Mile. You know what
right. No, that was a great analogy.
So
that's exactly what it's like.
So my point being, I think by Kendrick doing a set like this, again, I keep referring to chess moves. Like if Kendrick went hit for hit for hit, and then Drake goes in the future, who knows? Again, I'm just saying the door could be open, and he goes hit for hit. Obviously, in a versus battle, this is what made me think of it. Versus battle, Drake probably washes him in a hit for hit battle, and you're inevitably going to compare Super Bowl halftime performance like Kendrick hit for hit versus Drake's, right? And then by him doing a set like this, that closes the door for all discussions, because it's like, yo, he embarrassed you on the biggest stage fucking possible.
Yeah, I think just off of, you know, this, because again, so much of this performance was Drake commentary and giving Drake the middle finger right on the biggest stage possible. Like, it's very hard to want to follow that up anytime soon. And you know, it just doesn't seem plausible right now. I wouldn't do it if I was Drake, to be honest. There's way too much pressure to inevitably be compared. And I do agree, Knox, that it was too focused on Drake. Actually, again, I think you remove this controversy, you remove you know, all the hype. We would be talking about this very, very differently, and I think the entire performance would be very, very different.
Yeah, but if he did not do Not Like Us, we would.
I'm not saying just no. It was not just as simple as Not Like Us. It was not.
What else? So okay, him mentioning about the Sue part, that's one. Which that's hip hop shit right there. I'm sorry, that's straight hip hop shit. That's some grab your balls.
That was good. I like.
That's the one thing he mentioned. He did Euphoria, but Euphoria as in itself is a hit. Euphoria in itself is a hit song for him. So whatever, he did Euphoria. I don't think that was close for a. That could be either or. So the other toss up is the Serena Williams and then the Drake. You know what I'm saying, coming in. But you know what I'm saying. For me, it didn't like he can't avoid these things, because if he did, he's missing out on an opportunity to just capitalize on the fucking moment.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something, and I think you're not going to hear about this ever again from Kendrick. Unless Drake comes out, even if Drake comes out and comes at him, I think Kendrick never responds to Drake ever again.
For sure.
I think
for sure.
That's it for him. I think this now opens up a door into Kendrick, where he has new fans. He has a more of a appreciation for his catalog, because people are went back and the people are listening to his shit. I think this opens a new door for Kendrick, because now we got Club Kendrick, crazy Club Kendrick now. So his albums, I think his albums are going to be way more balanced, and I feel like, you know, he can concentrate on himself. I think, and I'll be very surprised if we ever hear something about Drake again. And Drake has to come out and say his name before anything happens. And I think this was him putting a stamp on that. Game over. We started at the end of the thing. Game over.
Yeah. No round twos. No round twos.
You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
I think kudos to him for that. Shut the door on the fucking shit.
Yep.
You see Drake's entourage in Australia watching the fucking the halftime show.
Yeah.
The irony. Yeah. You left the country and they still followed you. Yeah. You gotta think about this. How many people are in that stadium? How many people in the stadium? Fit? Do we know?
50,000, 60,000. Yeah, something
How many people in the fucking world?
133 million watching it.
This was more than that stadium for me. It was more than that. This was more than that for me. Yeah. So I think it's gonna live on in a different way, and I think people will appreciate it down the line. Once they separate the Super Bowl aspect of it, I think down the line people will appreciate it for what it is.
Yeah. I think ultimately at the end of the day, Fingas, the part where people are saying it was too Drake focused, when the highlight, inevitably, Not Like Us would have been the highlight of the show for sure. Like, even if he played all his hits, Not Like Us would have been the highlight of the show. But I think, like I said, the gripe that I have with it is the fact that he didn't celebrate his prior catalog and create other peaks and valleys. It was, for me, it was more so valley and then like high crescendo right at the end. That if the main focus, even like I'd say 90% of the subliminals was all Drake based. So, you know, again, to Snax's point, if you kind of take that away, then what else are we really left with besides some of the other subliminal messaging?
Well, my lastly point on that, well, here's my thing with the whole pop-out show. I feel like that was accomplished. I feel like that was the victory lap for him, was that concert. So he did all his slaps on that concert. I feel like with this, he instead of the NFL using him, he used the NFL to get his message across. And I feel like this wasn't like a Super Bowl thing for him. I don't think he treated this as the Super Bowl thing.
He
No matter
didn't.
what the eyes he got the eyes. He got what he wanted. That's why if you listen
Right.
to Samuel L. Jackson, it's them saying, "Hey, play it safe. Do the records that we want." I don't think people were paying attention to what he was saying.
Right.
Do the records that we want. Do the records that they love. Play it fucking safe. This is how we like it. And he kept and that was the not conforming
Right.
to that, and I think people are missing that. So I don't think people like I want him to come out one day and explain what his what his process was for this, because I don't think he treated this as a regular Super Bowl. I don't think he
He
looked at
didn't.
this as a Super Bowl. He looked at this as, I have the
Right.
eyes, I have
Yeah,
the
he definitely.
face, I have the world. So Drake is doing the fucking World Cup. Way more views, way more eyes. I hope he doesn't come out with a fucking bully hole sweater. I think that was a stupid fucking move. Another dumb move on Drake. I think that was pretty stupid. But hopefully Drake, with this album that's about to drop, there's a lot of anticipation behind it. I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah.
What I'm talking about is the P&D album. The cover is awesome. I love the cover. So hopefully, I'm rooting for Drake, man. I'm rooting for Drake to do the right thing. But no more bullet hole 50 Cent hoodies. No more of that.
My final point. All that's true. I totally agree with that. I just think there was a way that he could have checked. He could have done two birds, one stone. He could have checked both boxes, in my opinion. I think there was a better set list that he could have done all of that, like close the door on it, as well as give people what they wanted.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair. I agree.
I agree. Thank you so much, everybody, the hosts, for putting in your 2 cents. And for those especially who've been contributing and commenting and listening to us on a Tuesday night. We saw this as a good opportunity to be able to go live. Hopefully we can do this more often. Again, it's all because you guys, give your energy and support us. So if Dylan does this correctly, he's going to be able to save this conversation on our page so you can rewatch it or send it to whoever you need to.
That was a fucking diss. Okay, all right.
It's not a diss. Oh my God. You're supposed to be muted.
Yeah.
Anyway, once again, thanks so much, everybody. Holla us in the comments, in the DMs. We'll repost. And again, great conversation by all. So thank you so much. Thank you for supporting us. Please follow the show. And we'll see you next time. See you guys.